It's usually a tag at the end. Oh, not right now, you're up.
He's muted.
All right. Welcome everybody out there in Facebook and beyond land. My name is Cecilia Cuff. I'm here with Arroyo Seco Live on behalf of Arroyo Seco Live, joined with Matt Thomas, from the director of the Paseo Project, Christina Sporong. She is one of our artists for Capsule, and Christian Risto, another one of our amazing artists for Capsule. And we're here to introduce the newest installation to Taos, New Mexico, or newest addition to Taos, New Mexico's large-scale interactive art installations. This piece was a piece that was commissioned by Arroyo Seco Live and the Paseo Project in response to the craziness of COVID-19 and the civil unrest of 2020. And really, we've spent, on behalf of Arroyo Seco Live, a lot of time really trying to support our art community during the time of during 2020, throughout all the hardships and just a lot of the things that have been happening, and really trying to look and find vibrancy from a lot of our art community. And we've received overwhelming response, and we are now embarking on this really amazing journey with two amazing artists from our very own hometown of Taos, New Mexico. And we've been able to really work with another organization, the Paseo Project, which has done so many really monumental and very important art installations and exhibitions throughout the town of Taos to really kind of take us to the next level. So we're really excited. And again, we're excited to kind of introduce you now to a project that will be ongoing for quite some time, which is Capsule Taos.
Yeah, Cece, it's really great to be here with everyone. And I just want to thank you and thank Arroyo Seco Live. The Paseo Project is really excited to be a part of this collaboration. You know, for us, this is our very first commission, and this has been a dream of mine for many years, where we could be in a place where we could actually have artists create new pieces for our community and hopefully for the world too. So we're really excited to be a part of this, working with Christina and Christian and the creation of Capsule. And as everyone knows, Paseo Project is known for the Paseo Festival. We are, for those of you who don't know, we are a nonprofit, an arts nonprofit here in Taos, New Mexico. And we bring art to the streets of Taos through projection, performance, and installation art. But year round, we do pop-ups, educational events, and now more virtual and online events. And while we can't all gather in the streets this fall, we're really excited to embark on new projects and pop-ups just like Capsule that bring public art pieces to our community. We're doing a Windows project right now. So if you check out our website, you can see all the different projects that we're doing for Paseo 2020 this year. But I'm really excited to launch and share with everyone this project. You know, we've been working on this, gosh, for several months now, and it feels really exciting to get to the point now where we're really close to actually installing this piece, and to have Christina and Christian here to tell us a little bit more. We have some photos lined up we want to share with everyone too. But I want to introduce, I'll start with Christina and we'll just dive right in. Christina Sporong is a metal sculptor who uses fire, kinetics, and performance to provoke interaction with her work. Her growing cadre of large-scale sculptures have traveled the globe, from the UK's Glastonbury Festival to Voodoo Arts and Music Festival to New Orleans to Burning Man and to Paseo. She has worked in the blacksmithing trade for decades and founded her own commercial shop, Spitfire Forge, in 1996. She teaches women's welding workshops as a means to empower women and demystify the process of working with metal. And she's a welding instructor at University of New Mexico here in Taos. And her website is spitfireforge.com.
And I will say that I feel like getting to know both of these artists One, by researching them online. So if you haven't done that, anybody who's watching, I definitely say look up pictures of them, because there's pictures of them sitting in robots and on top of pieces that they've made, and probably in every geographic situation that I've ever seen. So it's been really fun to kind of get to know you both, because you're both really amazing in your craft, and at the same time be able to look up your presence online, because a lot of the past projects that you all have done have been really, really amazing. So again, I feel very lucky. And I'm going to introduce Christian Risto. He's been building mechanical art since he was a child. His large-scale interactive sculptures are influenced by studying architecture, the underground robot performance art scene in San Francisco Bay Area, and a decade of creating special effects for the film industry in Southern California. His work has been showcased at arts and cultural events on 4 of the world's continents. And while large kinetic sculpture remains Risto's lifelong focus, the scope of his artistic output has recently enlarged to include smaller scale sculpture, traditional figurative clay sculpture, and oil painting. And you can check out more of his work, and I urge you to, at www.christianristo.com.
Thanks, Cece.
So let's just dive into some questions. So I mean, I think everyone wants to know, like, what is Capsule? And I know for me, I was really excited to work with Arroyo Seco Live on this. And we, of course, we know them through live performances and concerts happening there. And to have this opportunity to bring in a sculpture, and you guys we reached out to you because we've loved working with you in the past, and you have a body of work, but you were like, no, we have a new idea, a new sculpture. So tell us how this idea came about and how Capsule came to be.
Well, it's a good question. I wanted to say thank you to you, Matt, and the Paseo, and Cecilia. Thank you so much. And Seco Live, this wouldn't be happening without you guys. Cece approached us and about showing something, and we decided that most of our sculpture was either had been seen before, or maybe wasn't really hitting the mark in today's world, which changed so quickly. This was back in March or April. And we wanted to propose a piece that was inspired by the times we are in right now, which are ever changing and hard. And so we threw that out there and we got the go ahead. And so we came up with Capsule, which is our first collaborative project where Risto and I work together. And, you know, we took a few walks in the woods, literally, and we're like, what do we want to say? What do we want to evoke here? And decided to imitate nature on some level. It's always a good one to do. And came up with this idea of something growing out of the ground that then changes. So Capsule is an organically inspired mechanical sculpture, which is Christian's specialty. And it will change at some point and move and expose a different part of itself, right?
Yeah, what she said. In terms of what it actually looks like, it's, you know, I don't want to give too much away because it's going to be a pretty exciting reveal in a week or two here. But it kind of has the look and feel of a flower, and there are organic elements that call to mind those natural elements that were inspiring to us. But then there's also kind of some harder edged forms that we're playing with that I think kind of are appropriate for the times that we're working in, or that we're all living through. Yeah, and then it's going to unfold and open in this dramatic way at some unknown date in the future. So in that way, it's going to, it also mimics nature and a flower and working with some of those metaphors.
Yeah, I love this idea of the transformation that it makes. Like, so telling the audience, like letting everyone know that this piece will change over time. When you bring it to the site, it's one formation, and us as audience, we can actually engage with it. And that's I'm going to ask you that question next. And then over time, when we're ready to really activate the piece, it actually transforms and changes and moves. And I just love that whole idea, because we are living in a time of major transformations for sure, and how this piece interacts with our community, but then also change over time, I thought was really powerful. But do you want to tell us a little bit more how we can actually interact with Capsule?
Yeah, a capsule is basically a capsule for written paper notes at this point, which hopefully will contain thoughts from the public, or from the community, of what is going on. Like what are your wishes, what are your thoughts, what are your prayers in this time? What do you miss, what do you wish you'd done different? Is there something you want to cathartically get rid of? And this paper will get stuffed in the bottom of the sculpture, and at some point it will get lit, and the paper will combust and combust some wood with that, and that will activate the motion of the sculpture. And just as a metaphorical kind of thing, just releasing something, you're contributing something about this time, and then you're releasing it into the ether. It's cathartic, and it's like, without, I don't want to use ritual, but in some ways it is just like an age-old way for humans to deal with change and grief and hard times and everything else.
Yeah, a place where we can come together, though come together very safely.
Yeah.
We actually have some images, and these are photographs that were taken in the process, so we want to share these. Of course, we don't have the final images yet. Things are still coming together. We don't want to give away too much just yet, but we have Kat from Arroyo Seco Live who's here helping us too. And yeah, so we have some images that, cool, that she's going to be sharing. So let's talk a little bit about safety, because we know obviously we're living in a time of new territory. And so putting this sculpture together was, first on our mind was keeping things safe. And so as Christina mentioned, the piece is interactive. People are invited to come up to the sculpture. We're gonna have a hand sanitation station there. Cece, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what people can expect when they're on site? And yeah, just sort of some guidelines and that we're hoping our community keeps with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that one thing that Arroyo Seco Live is known for is really bringing together the community. And honestly, that was one of the reasons that drew me to wanting to be more involved with Arroyo Seco Live. So when Roots and Riders would bring in international, high caliber music where everybody's dancing and everyone's together, that was kind of the feeling that I think that Arroyo Seco Live loves to do and continue to celebrate. So really that was kind of the end all be all of what Capsule will be when we're all able to come together. But, I think the underlying kind of message that we want to bring people together, whether they're in Taos, driving through Taos, or on another continent, to be able to interact with Capsule. So if you're in town and you're driving, and you want to take a trip, or, you're coming from Albuquerque and you want to come to see Capsule, we definitely welcome that. What you can expect is being able to drive up to 481 State Road 150 in Arroyo Seco, New Mexico. We're right across the street from a delicious restaurant to have dinner. We're right across the street from Wake and Take, which is an awesome place to have lunch and breakfast burritos. We're right down the street from Abe's Cantina, which has world famous breakfast burritos, and stop to get a cold beer, and walk around the neighborhood of Arroyo Seco. And so I think coming in, we wanted to make sure we were keeping everybody safe. So we are sponsored by our local distillery, which is also making hand sanitizer. And so that we'll have hand sanitizer there made by Rolling Still. So you'll be able to hand sanitize and then pick up a crayon, write down your hopes for 2020, for the rest of 2020, something you've been wanting to get off your chest while you're, sitting in your house in solitude, or just anything that, you want to let go of, release, or just, a funny story. We've gotten quite a few submissions of funny stories. And so really for us, that's kind of what the interaction that we're hoping people will come visit Arroyo Seco, stop by Capsule, stop by the really beautiful landscaping that's been done there. There's some picnic tables where you can sit down with the group that you're with and socially distance, and really just kind of enjoy Capsule in all of its glory, because it is going to be towering and it's going to be impressive. Take a picture with it, but really put your intention that you've written down on paper and place it into Capsule. Additionally, if you aren't in Taos, then that's fine too. We wanted to make sure that it was interactive. So you can actually go to www.capsuletaos.com, and there's a section where you can actually write in your story. And we're starting to pick some of the best stories and bring them to life. So if you write a story on Capsule and you capsuletaos.com and submit the story, we'll animate it and put it up on our Instagram page for Capsule, which is Capsule Taos on Instagram or the Facebook page. So if you have a story, again, if you have a letter, if you have an intention, if you have just anything you want to share, then we're happy to bring that. We'll write it and add that to the sculpture as well if you're not able to be in Taos. And then some of the stories we'll actually share with our audience. So yeah, there's plenty of ways for you to be able to interact with Capsule. And again, that was something that was really important for us, that, you know, we were able to make it interactive for everybody, and also to make it safe.
Yeah, I like that you can interact it online or you can do it in person. And so I thought that was really a great way to bring Capsule to the world. I wanted to ask Christina and Christian, I heard you briefly talk a little bit about the process that you guys use in the creating of your projects, and how you make models. We saw some of those in the photos. You do drawings, but then just recently you actually put all those pieces together in real life and installed it. And there's like this whole other awakening of what this piece you created. I don't know if could you share a little bit more of that experience of actually that process of creating it and what comes out of it.
Yeah, that just happened.
Sure.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Christina and I both work in a way which relies heavily on drawings and model making, and we do not typically make much use of like 3D modeling and virtual simulations and stuff like that. So we've modeled like a lot of the individual components. Like this is an example, right? This is a cardboard model of one element of the sculpture. But what happens is that so you know what the individual components are going to look like. You have that very clearly figured out in your mind. But when you bring them together in reality for the first time, it is the first time. It is the first time we've seen it complete. It's the first time anyone's seen it complete. It's the first time it is complete. And so there's this real surprise. There's this like reveal to us. The sculpture is like revealing itself to us for the first time. And so it's like, it's not something that we've ever seen before. So like Christina and I were like, we put it together. This was just yesterday. We put it together and we're both like, huh, wow, wow, that's wow. Like, we're just like, we're totally surprised by it, totally staring at it. And it has all these, you know, this is true for every sculpture, but it's particularly true for this sculpture, that as you walk around the sculpture, it keeps rewarding with different views. It reveals different parts of itself as you walk around. This is a sculpture that actually kind of demands to be walked around. So when it was first assembled yesterday, you know, there was probably a good 20 or 30 minutes where Christina and I were both just kind of walking around it, like almost not talking, like just staring at it, like once in a while. Wow, whoa, come look at this. Wow, look at what that looks like from this side.
Yeah, it was really fun. It's really special to put it up like that and feel like you just birthed this new thing, you know. So that part it's cool.
Yeah, it makes me not want to ever learn 3D modeling.
And I have to ask though, because this is your first piece that you worked together on, and I know you guys have sort of helped each other out on past projects, but this was really your first sort of project you did together. How has that process been? How has that been? Do you guys like, yeah, I'm curious.
Most times it's been okay.
Most of the time it's been great.
Yeah.
You know,
it's actually great. Well, okay.
There's so many upsides to it, right? Christina and I are both extremely competent. And so there's very little having to worry about whether the other person knows what they're doing. We both know what we're doing. We've been doing this for so long. We're both really talented. And we speak a language that's almost like a shorthand. It's very easy for us to say like, oh, we should, I don't even have to finish the sentence. I'm like, I think we should move this. She's like, yeah, I know, over there. Okay, I'll do it, or whatever. And it
expedites the process.
Yeah, it expedites the process. I mean, it's a lot faster and smoother than working with like volunteers or people who are hoping to learn the craft or learn these skills through working with us or volunteering or whatever, because there's a lot of teaching, there's a lot of management, and all of that has been a non-issue because, like I said, we both really know what we're doing in the shop. It's also true that, and this can probably be said of most artists, Christina and I are both very headstrong. We're both very strong-willed. And so in occasion, in the unlikely circumstance where we don't quite see eye to eye about something, it can get interesting. It can get a little, and then we have to figure it out, right? It's like relationship therapy here in the workshop. It's great. we have to figure it out, right? It's like we can't get stuck on it. Like we need to go. And we hammer it, experience hammering stuff out. We're parents, and so we know how to work through stuff. And but we are very headstrong, and we both have clear vision most of the time about what we think is going to look right or what we think is going to work right or come across the way we have to come across, and mostly agree. And it's not 100% of the time. So, but I think that the sculpture is the stronger for it. There's a lot of, the sculpture is a real collaboration. There's a lot of Christina's ideas in there, and there's a lot of my ideas in there. And it's a sculpture that I don't think either one of us would have built
without
on
the
our
other.
own.
Yeah.
Without the other.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely think it's interesting because your guys' styles are so vastly, they're different, but they have a lot of similarities. So I'm really interested in trying to pick out exactly which parts of the sculpture you guys influence, because I think that'll be fun. One thing that I thought was really interesting was the addition of glass. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about the glass aspect of the piece?
Yeah. So I have a good friend in San Francisco who used to live here, Alex Abidjan. He is a glass blower and an amazing glass blower at that. And we kind of just, I thought it needed some color, and it needed something light and maybe a little fragile, because the piece is quite heavy and strong. And just visually, it felt like it needed something that was maybe a little associated with being fragile, basically, but also translucent and transparent. And conical shapes were always something. It's something about like rising above the situation we're in. So I think we both agreed that we wanted something going upwards. And I threw this at Alex, and he came back with, these beautiful glass pieces. And I think we're going to illuminate them from the inside, so they'll be bright and they're beautiful. I mean, that's a really sweet addition, and I feel like that's like the finishing touch. It's like the icing on the cake, I feel. There
are a lot of like visual dichotomies that are coming out in this piece, or that we're playing with in this piece, like hard and soft, or like curvilinear and rectilinear. And one of the visual themes or metaphors that we are playing with in this piece is kind of like protection. Like the sculpture has kind of certain elements that are on the outside that are protective of this inner core, and the elements on the outside are quite strong. They're quite they're visually strong. They're a little bit sort of brutalist in terms of their construction, but they're shielding this like delicate inner core. They're protecting it. And the glass, I think, and that inner core in the very earliest parts of our conversations around trying to figure out this piece, that inner core is round, is like a softer shape. But it was actually Chris who came up with this idea of like adding these like spines that come out of it. And when she hit on the idea of glass, it really finalized that the kind of softness and the kind of delicacy, as if there's something in there that's really worth protecting.
Yeah.
Something in there that is actually fragile, that we actually need to take care of. And I think the glass really kind of sealed the deal on that.
Yeah, it plays on work coming up for me, which is vulnerability, which is also what we're asking the community to participate with, is to be vulnerable for a second, write down something that matters to you and give it up to Capsule. And I think that's an appropriate word for this time, because I think we're all a little shaken. Yeah.
That metaphor gave me chills. That's awesome, Christian and Christina. I really did.
So I mean, everyone's probably curious, like, when is this going to happen? And I know we are shooting for early August for the installation in Arroyo Seco. But we also should share with people what's going to happen in this transformation. And so after everyone inserts their vulnerability, I love that you use that word, and really, and this capsule is holding it with these strong hands at holding this space. But then there will be a moment, and we don't know when this is going to happen because we are in a time of uncertainty. But you want to share with us what happens in the transformation?
Yeah, I'll start it. You can finish the. We'll light it on fire, and the piece won't burn, but everything on the inside will burn. And it's an unusual piece because the actual movement, the mechanical movement of the piece, is based on this burn. And I'll pass it on to Christian.
So we came up with this idea, which we feel is pretty novel. I don't remember ever seeing this idea before. And basically what we're doing is these individual components which comprise the outside of the sculpture that I was talking about a minute ago, the kind of protective elements that are up around the outer part, the outside, are all they're on pivots. They are capable of moving. They're capable of opening in this kind of revealing motion. And what we're doing is we will, on the night of the unveiling, whenever that is, we will load these outer components, these outer elements, these kinetic elements. We're going to load them with firewood. The weight of this firewood is going to, the kinetic elements are balanced such that the weight of the firewood will keep them in their upright position. Then the notes will be the kindling that starts the fire, that burns the firewood that's inside them. And this will be quite a blaze, and it's entirely possible that the steel will glow red hot. We don't quite really know what's going to happen. But as the firewood, as the wood burns and changes state and loses mass, gravity will take over, and the balance will shift within these components, and they will open by virtue of the wood having been burned away.
And the notes.
And the notes. So, there's another pretty rich metaphor there, which is like, trial by fire, or like the cataclysm, the cataclysmic nature of transformation, which we're all going through, right? It's we're all going to be different at the end of this epidemic or pandemic, this time, this crazy time, and hopefully a lot of things will be different, right? Hopefully there'll be some differences, some changes in our government, and some changes in the way certain segments of our population are treated, and hopefully there will be change, but it's not without cataclysm. And that is, and Capsule is we're working to make a metaphor out of that, a literal burning.
Well, it's like using elemental forces to change the piece, which, you know, people do with water. It's using the power of elemental forces, and fire is so beautiful and cathartic. And this was a fun problem to solve, the ballast issue of wood and fire. So I'm excited about that part. I think
It's actually, we've actually been working on that like today and yesterday, the whole issues around balance, and it's all very delicate. I mean, another thing that's fun about it is it's like, it's completely unknown. We can't model this. We're working with our best guesses about balances and weights and all that stuff. And so there's a real element of the unknown about how exactly this is going to work.
Yeah, surprise, which will be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the burn, only because I'm looking forward to us all being able to be together again. And again, that is so dependent on so many different factors. But I think I'm excited to see the piece erected, you know, in the center of this really beautiful village of Arroyo Seco. And again, I think it's going to be impressive. And I think that being able to interact with something that is so important, metaphorically and from a transformation standpoint, is going to be something that's going to be fun for people of all ages. So I'm really excited for that. So thank you all for taking this time with us this evening. Again, Christina Sporong and Christian Risto. You can follow them on Instagram, CK Risto for Christian and Christina Sporong for Christina Sporong. If you want to find out more about the Paseo Project, their Instagram handle is Paseo Project, and Arroyo Seco Live is just Arroyo Seco Live on Instagram. And again, to interact with Capsule, which we really invite everyone in the audience to do, is you can send them an email to capsule@secolive.com. You can check them out on Instagram at Capsule Taos, or you can go on their Facebook, which is also Capsule Taos, or just check out the website, which is www.capsuletaos.com. And those are all ways that you can interact. If you want to be a part of it, if there's any questions you have about it, if you want to share anything, that's what really the mechanism of Capsule is to really bring us all together and help us share vulnerabilities, thoughts, feelings, and to be able to celebrate these two amazing artists that we have in our own community who are creating something for our community. So
yeah. And thank you, Christina and Christian, and thank you, Cece and Arroyo Seco Live. And yeah, just keep following all of us on all our different networks, and we will be making an announcement when you can visit Capsule and Arroyo Seco.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for making it happen. We're so grateful to be working.
I second that. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Cece. And everyone else behind.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Good to see you. Bye.
Bye.